Yo, what is going on, guys, and welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking about if college is harder than high school, and if it is, how much harder it actually is and what makes it that tough. Now I'm going to have a video out talking about the college adjustment process as a whole, meaning like dorms, scheduling, all of that kind of stuff. But this one I wanted to narrow it down specifically to academics because I know in high school it's common for people to say that AP classes are at the same level as college classes and other stuff like that. Today I wanted to confirm and debunk some of those things. So first, tackling the main question at hand, is college harder than high school? 98% of the time, yes. Now this isn't always just because the material is harder to understand or more complex or whatever. That is the case a lot of the time. Sometimes it's just because of the way that college professors teach it to you and test you on it and how much work they give that makes it tougher. For example, in my first semester last year, I took an urban studies class. The course number was 101, so it was technically an introductory level. And the content itself was very similar to AP Human Geo. In fact, I even remembered a few of the terms from Human Geo. However, I found the class a lot tougher and I ended up getting a B in it, whereas I got an A in Human Geo. The key reasons for that was, one, just the style of it being a lecture hall. It was about 100 people in this auditorium, and then the professor just droned on for like an hour and 15 minutes, hardly any time where we could talk or ask questions or stuff like that. It was at like 3 o'clock too, and there weren't like guided notes or anything. You very rarely get that in college. So it was all on you to write everything down and get what you need. As you can see, I pulled up my notes and I took a solid 5 or 6 lectures worth of notes until I pretty much gave up, and I barely wrote anything down after that. So yeah, that's on me, but in my defense, it is really hard for anyone to focus for that long in that kind of environment. I basically just resorted to taking pictures of the slides. I'll actually put some of them up right now. As you can see, they weren't the most entertaining slides to look at all. So yeah, there you go. Alongside that, the workload was quite a bit. There was 2 5 to 6 page essays that we had to do throughout the semester. There was a pretty big midterm that we had to take, which had a few short answers. Same thing with the final. And then finally, there were readings that we were assigned after every lecture. They're just random excerpts from different books or articles, nothing really interesting. And readings is a common trend that you're going to see in a lot of classes, especially like social studies and English ones. So that is one example of a type of class that you very well are probably going to see in college. So on the other hand, that goes to show how teacher-based it can actually be. I've had teachers that were pretty much the opposite of that and really knew how to keep people engaged throughout class, were easily accessible outside of class to ask questions pretty much whenever we wanted, and who made the outline for all the work really clear and posted it before the semester even started. And it's those types of teachers that make college classes easier, even if the content might be harder. Whereas in high school, teachers were really accessible in class, but barely outside of class. The work was a lot more guided in high school. I'd say group work was more prominent in high school, but you can have a lot of group work depending on the types of classes in your major in college. I also found high school easier to pay attention to than lectures in college, like I've said earlier, which is why I preferred all my classes in college that I've taken that were lower amounts of people, like 25 to 35-ish. I was a bit nervous going into them at first because I thought there's going to be a bunch of participation and stuff like that, but usually the teachers for those are better and a little bit more chill. So I'd say the smaller classes in college were still a bit harder than high school, but not as hard as lectures would be. In college, you're going to have to pace yourself a lot because a lot of the deadlines that you're going to get are going to seem pretty far away once you get them, but then they're going to sneak up on you really quickly, and sometimes the teacher doesn't even remind you, so you have to keep tabs on everything. And a lot of college professors are not lenient on deadlines at all, whereas in high school it's mostly set out for you and you go to that class every single day, so you get constant reminders and it's easier to keep up with. Also in college, the majority of your materials are going to be online and you're hardly going to get handouts, so you're going to have to get comfortable with accessing them through that and using your laptop a lot more than you did in high school, which can be a good or bad thing depending on the type of person you are. I'd say the type of class with the biggest jump in difficulty from high school to college was foreign language. Again, this is just my experience, but in high school I was pretty easily getting 95s, 96s with a decent amount of studying, but in college, the first quiz I studied quite a bit for, and then it came back as a 66. One instance I've had so far that I'd say college was easier than high school was APUSH AP US History compared to this first year seminar I took on the modern US last year. It was only like a 19-person class, was not very work intensive. The teacher was really nice and everyone in that class was really chill. So combined, we just did the assignments and pretty much cruised our way to an A. Whereas in A+, that was definitely the class I spent the most amount of time working and studying for in high school, and I just barely found my way to an A- at the end. So it does happen, especially if you've taken some of the harder AP classes, but it's not all that common. So yeah, I know this video was kind of all over the place, but hopefully you found some of it useful. Overall, the majority of college classes are going to be harder than most of your high school classes. Only the high-level APs really compare well. Even then, it depends on how much work you're actually getting in those classes, because I'll tell you, in the first couple weeks I was not ready for the amount of work that I was hit with in college. But how much harder a college class is can depend on the teacher, how much work they give, the setting the classes in and how well you do focusing there, how many resources they give. And because college covers a wide variety of subjects, it's easier to find more classes that you're genuinely interested in, whereas in high school those were really rare to find. So more interest in a class can make it easier. So if you thought AP Psych and AP Human Geo and all of those were really easy, and that if college classes are going to be like that, you're just going to breeze through it, it is not like that, unfortunately, especially as you get into sophomore, junior, and senior year. But hey, as time goes on, you do learn to adapt and it doesn't become as hard. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you later. Peace out.